Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're all doing well, and welcome to this community showdown. It's going to be the High Elves led by Catholic Alcoholic facing off against Toxic Fireball and his Wood Elves. So this is also a total tavern bounty attempt here. We do have the High Elves going for the bounty. It is going to be triple Shadow Walker with Alith and Anar in an old tournament match. Should be quite a bit of fun. So 3 Shadow Walkers, Alith and Anar, and Shadow Walkers, let's look at their applications against the Wood Elves, right? Wood Elves do have a fair amount of light armor via Dryads, War Dancers, pretty much their entire roster with the exception of like Treekin and some of the Tree Spirits. But these guys pack a pretty heavy punch. I mean, 31 missile strength isn't bad at 180 range, and if they do get engaged in melee against some of the basic Wood Elf troopers, they can do okay. The issue being is that they do have a relatively low model count, so they can bleed some models pretty quickly there. The rest of the army is going to be Silver and Guard with some Dragon Princes in the back, Ilthamar Chariots, and I would imagine a caster is going to be getting summoned in relatively soon. For Toxic Fireball, it is going to be a lot of hard wood, which could be very tough for those Shadow Walkers. Double Treekin, Dryads, War Dancers in the back. War Dancers will do good against Rangers, Spearmen, but will struggle into things like Silverin and White Lines of Crace and some of the more armored units. So we'll have to see how they perform. And I think that's pretty much it. Dryka is going to be coming in with Pit of Shades, I believe, which is always pretty good against High Elves, and just, solid infantry factions in general. And if they don't have any good targets, it's good to have Melkoth. So you could just spam this and get general incremental value as you go. A little bit of fast forwarding while the objectives do open up here. We see the Shadow Warriors doing a little bit of skirmishing. And now let's kind of see what kind of damage these bad boys pack. So they're shooting into Dryads, which is a pretty ideal target for them. Dryads are fairly lightly armored. They do have the physical resist, but even still, they will take some heavy damage from the 31 missile strength here on the Walmart Way Watchers. And yeah, they certainly pack a little bit of a punch here. And the one advantage they do have over the Way Watchers is the fact that they can fight pretty well in melee. You see the Elf player going in for a little bit of an aggressive dive with the Glade Riders, but the Dragon Princes are pretty quick to intercept them. And immediately the lines of Silver and Guard are going to be forming ranks. And dude, look at Alith and Anar. He's getting pretty crazy here. He does get bumped by some of the cavalry, but is able to rip some bow shots in the process. Very risky here for our High Elf player moving in to fight Dryka in melee. Maybe it's a bit of a trap. Ilthamar Chariots, I believe, did they do magic damage? I could have sworn they did, but I guess not. They move in, do some okay work, and now we see a big Pit of Shades going to be going down from Dryka. Oh no, you better move! And it looks like they will be able to get away for the most part. It will be tickling the pickle. That would have been very nasty if it had caught both those Shadow Walkers, but in this case, it looks like they were able to slip away. So side objective here, going to be going to the High Elves, middle to the Wood Elves, and the far side objective to the Wood Elves. Now, the one thing that the Wood Elves are doing wrong, in my opinion, is having way too many units over on this objective. The epicenter of fighting, especially on maps like Oakenshield, are really going to be in the center here. So you need all these, forces hands on deck. The entire High Elf army, for the most part, is fighting, right? Whereas a large portion of the Wood Elf army isn't in action here. So that's going to be a little bit detrimental to them if they continue playing that way. Lithanar ripping okay shots. He's able to do some okay damage against the Firebark Elders. He does have 400 missile strength and some heavy armor piercing. He's basically like, as if your Lord is a bolt thrower, right? He's just like a bolt thrower Lord, essentially, which can do okay work. Generally, I think he only costs like, 1,300 if you bring a certain, his baseline kit. So he can kind of pay for himself by just shooting at bigger targets. Silver and Guard, though, holding like absolute raid bosses here. We do get some Dryads in the backfield, including the Malevolent Dryads, which have been causing some disruption and doing some work. A Burning Head is going to be the response from the High Elves, so it looks like they did call in a Mage of Fire. And in the backfield, we do get Sisters of Avalorn, which I really do like here, actually. They do fire damage and magical damage, so magical damage surpasses the resistances that Treekin and Dryads have, and the fire damage, of course, is going to be relevant against a multitude of tree units, and also for mitigating healing effects, which the Wood Elves do tend to have. Nice move out here. Reaver's going to be battling Glade Riders, but some of the Dryads of the Toxic Fireball are able to assist here, so this should be a win for the Wood Elves on this particular fight. Looking over here, we do see them shooting into the baseline Treekin, who will be flammable and take a ton of damage from Sisters of Avalorn. So far as the value trading goes, we do see the High Elves in a pretty good position. Silver and Guard holding back the Wild Hunters of Kurnus, who haven't been able to find a great fight as far as I can see. Although they do see the Shadow Walkers coming back from the route and might be able to kind of pick them off and route them. We'll have to see. Shadow Walker's still shooting. Dryads are trying to chase them down. Silver and Guard being absolute raid bosses. The Wood Elves have been able to hold on to the 2 objectives for now. So objective 2 does belong to the Wood Elves, objective 1 as well. And it looks like they did commit pretty much all their forces to fighting. So they kind of rectified that earlier mistake that we were pointing out here. Sisters of Avalorn, though, doing great work. Treekin going down very, very quickly. Shadow Walkers, let's look at the value they've gotten so far. My guess would probably be about 500-600. And looking at about 700 value on them, which isn't terrible. Granted, they do cost, I believe, over 1,000. So they certainly have their work cut out for them. The ideal target for Shadow Walkers would be things like War Dancers. Shooting at the Treekin here isn't going to get a lot of value from them, but shooting at War Dancers and Dryads is probably the sweet spot for them. Nice cab charge in the back. Glade Riders getting in. Going to do a little bit of shock damage, but the Sisters of Avalorn do have 51 melee defense and are a pretty resilient unit. especially against like a light cavalry piece. So the sisters could be drawing their swords and honestly should be able to win this fight against these two very tattered cav units. It might take them a hot moment and they'll take some HP damage in the process. Really nice peeling fire though. Getting those Shadow Walkers to provide a little bit of supporting fire on the side there was quite nice. However, the Wood Elves look like they might be able to get a triple cap here. Despite being a little bit behind on value, their aggression is paying off in the form of getting the points here. We do see objective number 3, which was previously owned by the High Elves, being taken by some War Dancers and some Glade Riders here. So that one is certainly going to be flipping, and this is going to be putting a lot of pressure on our mighty High Elf champion here, as the Toxic Fireball certainly shows no mercy. Draika fighting in the front, Silver and Guard finally being worn down. Treekin looking very beat up on pretty much every front, although these ones are quite persistent, going after Alith and Anar, and I always find that Alith and Anar just ends up in melee like most of the time. Yeah, he's not bad in melee. I mean, he's got 67 melee attack. He's still like a very solid duelist character with 400 weapon strength. However, he will barely do any damage against Treekin, but I've seen Alith and Anar like battling like other legendary lords, and if they're lightly armored, he can actually put up a reasonable fight. Phoenix Guard being called out. Not a bad choice. The Glade Guard that have been summoned in from the Wood Elves are not the armor-piercing variant. Eternal Guard, on the other hand, though, do trade very well into the Phoenix Guard, although I think he's anticipating like Wild Riders and Treekin and different things like that, so the Phoenix Guard coming into like trying to anchor an objective doesn't seem like a terrible idea. But man, oh man, looking really tough on the points. We see some of the High Elf Chariots being pinned down by Firebark Elders. Very, very nice play by Toxic Fireball. And the Archmage of Fire is a little bit trapped up as well. The Archmage only has 45 armor, so if it is surrounded by all these Glade Riders, it can take some, pretty considerable damage over time. Uh-oh, Draika's coming in. Draika hits very, very hard. She packs quite the punch, especially against a lightly armored unit like this. Draika does have 470 weapon strength, so yeah, and a charge bonus of 50 on a foot-based unit. So if the Catholic here does not take note of this mage, you're going to be in a little bit of danger. Losing that mage would suck pretty bad. Phoenix Guard moving up. Shadow Warriors and Sisters of Avalorn. Shadow Walkers, excuse me. Got to put some respect on their names. Are using all their ammunition. Yeah, they were able to use all their ammo, getting about 1,000 value. But this is where they're going to be shining over, other missile-type units, right? They're still a 43, 40, and 34 weapon strength with a bonus for infantry unit with 5 capture weight. So you could totally move up a Shadow Walker and have them fight like a Dryad or a War Dancer, although I don't know how they would do against those. Oh, potentially a really nice timing Pit of Shade there. Let's see if it's going to get the Dragon Princess as well, and it does. What a good Pit of Shade by Toxic Fireball. That was so nice. It nails the Sisters, also is able to kind of tickle the pickle of some of the Dragon Princes as they do pass through. But there is a value lead here still for the High Elves, and we are going to be seeing Dragon Princes being quite devastating. Heavy Shot Cavalry have always been super good against the Wood Elves, and here they come. Lances out for the Answer. They get in, and those War Dancers are going to be getting buckled, and they might be able to just move around and cause massive havoc, right? I'm looking at this Wood Elf army, and to be completely honest, I'm not really seeing anything that could effectively counter the Dragon Princes. We do have some Glade Guard here, some Dryads on the far side. We have some Light Cavalry here, more Dryads, more Light Cavalry being called out. Really, there is no answer for these Dragon Princes. Unless they get left in sustained combat against like Draika and get Pit of Shaded or something, I don't see an avenue in which they're going to be going down, right? And it looks like the Mage of Fire was able to get away. The Dragon Prince is swooping across, now going to be switching on over to these Glade Riders here, which again should be a pretty favorable fight for them. And also the Phoenix Guard, they're pulling a good old Thanos, the inevitable push moving in. And they will be able to wrestle this objective. And it seems like the value deficit is really starting to catch up with the Wood Elves right now, despite them having a triple cap. But are the High Elves going to be able to get this back quick enough? Shadow Walkers certainly are having something to say about it up on the point. Looking at the Shadow Walkers, they have gotten 1,300 value. So if I'm not mistaken, the Shadow Walkers have paid for themselves, which is pretty cool to see. Seeing one of those really elite, weird niche units pay for itself. This is certainly the matchup for them, though. But yeah, Dryads are a really cost-effective melee unit, especially against light armor, right? So Chariots coming in, Ilthamar Chariots poking, and now we get Blade Singers. Oh man, these are elite. Okay, that's where his money went. I was wondering where Toxic Fireball was spending his money, but he did call in some Blade Singers, which understandably, your opponent has Silverin, or had Silverin on the field, and also some of the elite Phoenix Guard. I can totally see the Blade Singers being a solid choice. And yep, this objective looks like it is flipping to the High Elves, but the Blade Singers might grind pretty cost-effectively here. Here we do have a light cav fight. It's going to be Glade Riders versus the Illyrian Reavers. Pretty even fight, honestly. The Reavers, of course, will be stronger when the martial prowess is active, but once things do diminish in that regard, it will start to favor the Glade Riders. But 2v1, this one should go to the Wood Elves. Middle point taken here by Ye Olde High Elf, so the Mage of Fire in tandem with the Phoenix Guard, able to get that point. Dragon Prince is just having a field day. 800 value, been able to do a ton of damage, and I would wager we'll probably head over to objective number 1 with a Spearman moving up. Now, Spearman, I believe, would lose in a vacuum to Dryads, but obviously they'll take a long time in doing so. And if they can just get the Dryads to engage them in melee, and then you call in like a Dragon Prince for a rear charge or something like that, it's going to be very, very devastating. This objective still be owned by the Wood Elves, and we do see, yeah, this is like 1,000% triple cap territory. He's going to have to get all 3 points in order to win this. And I wonder if the Wood Elves are just going to Helm's Deep somewhere. The Blade Singers are really going to be the anchor, I'm sure. But the Blade Singers themselves are pretty squishy. So you really want them to be fighting the right target. Blade Singers are cool because you can switch them to Whirling Death, which makes them better against light armor. But yeah, they're being rear charged by Cavalry and Chariots. It's going to be a pretty brutal loss here to lose that really expensive unit. And yeah, looks like the Wood Elves probably do lose this objective. And now are just going to be Helm's Deeping on the back objective. So though clearly that is the game plan as we see 2 Dryads coming across. But this is going to be a super, super long Helm's Deep. He's going to have to hold for, over 400 seconds here, which is, that's a long time. That's several minutes there. So going to be tough. Alith is on the far side of the map, though, so I suppose it's going to be taking the Elves a little bit of time. Dryka's still in business, and maybe Dryka could put a little bit of sustained pressure on this point so that some of the Elves have to stay here to deal with her instead of going to the other side. And yes, the Dryads are now here. Dryads versus the old Spearmen. Burning Heads are on the table, though. If these Dryads bunch up a little bit too much, a nice Burning Head could clear 1 or 2 of them off the point if they end up stacking up against the Spearmen. And now we do have Phoenix Guard coming over as well as a full health unit of Dragon Princes, fully erect Princes. That is going to be brutal indeed, as these Dryads are going to feel the wrath of their Lances, charge bonus of 80. Physical resist, of course, surpassed by the Dryads, but yeah, Dryads are really bad against armor. And we do see Treekin coming in. Treekin are what I like to call an anchor unit. You really want to kind of hold down a position, you call in Treekin, and they certainly do their best. And here we go, cinematic shot. Oh yeah, the Burning Head Cav Charge combo, I love it. So that is a super juicy Burning Head, going to be roasting through those Dryads. It does hit both units. It is going to be wavering their leadership, accentuating the fact that they are a little bit weaker against fire damage. And now the other Dragon Princes are going to be coming in to kind of clean things up, although this side's looking a little bit sketchy. Is Dryka going to be able to pull this one back? Alith and Dryka dueling. Dryka does have 80 armor. She's that is some hard bark right there. And man, those Blade Singers, the Blade Singers didn't go. They're still there. Oh my god. They get 1,500 value. Oh man. Okay. Okay, hold on. Could this be the dreaded comeback? Could the 33 model Blade Singers, who literally have less than 1,000 HP, be the ones to win this game? I don't know, because the Blade Singers with Alith and Anar maybe going to be able to get the job done. They're at 17 leadership, Whirling Death active, and they're just cutting through pretty much everything. Middle objective looks okay. Nobody's really contesting it, so it looks like the Elves are going to be hanging on to that one. The High Elves, I should say. The Wood Elves are trying their best to anchor this point, like I said. They have all their Dryads, they have their Glade Riders. This is such a scrappy game. Very well played to both players, man. This has been quite a privilege to watch here, as we do get more Glade Riders. Circling around the back, trying to get a rear charge, maybe break a little bit of leadership. Burning Head's going to be going down. So really this is just kind of like, can the Elves injure this back point? Dryka does get stronger the more damage she gets. So currently you can see her melee attack is super jacked. And it looks like your boy Alith is on the run. 400 HP. Does he have any ammo left? Yeah, he runs out of ammo really, really quickly. I think he's got like maybe 1 shot left. But yeah, he's gotten some okay value. He's just about paid for himself. But Dryka flips the objective back as more Shadow Walkers are called in. Oh no. And Shadow Walker's going to be doing battle here against Glade Riders, which doesn't feel good for them. A couple Sisters of Avalorn did come back, but they shattered. Very unfortunate there. And the Wood Elves do get it. Man, well played by Toxic Fireball. I really thought he was just going to get triple swept there, but the fact that he was able to kind of scrap that side objective while also holding this one for as long as he is super impressive. I mean, the Wood Elves do have a lot of mobility, but so too do the High Elves. Phoenix Guard should be able to kind of hold this point until the Sun and Stars die out. I don't think anything's going to take it from them there. And Dryka trying her best on this point. Shadow Walker's getting popped by Melkoths. That was a pretty unfortunate one. Had that been like another Dragon Prince unit, he probably didn't have any in reserve. It would have been way stronger, but yeah, these Shadow Walkers probably going to get smashed by Dryka. We do see some Illyrian Reavers coming in, trying to buffer and help. Maybe get them back online. Alith at 421 leadership, and more Dryads are going to be on the way. What do the Elves have? Sending some spears over to the middle objective. We get some cav coming across. It is getting danger close now. And this map makes for some really cool, big, like, open engagements for sure. I really like this one. It's a fun mix-up from some of the smaller maps with more terrain. Phoenix Guard Halberds chewing through Treekin. No problem. That is certainly their job. Silverin making their way over. A couple of Illyrian Reavers. And this Dragon Prince unit really needed to be over here a minute ago. Like over to this point, like really badly. And that expensive Shadow Walker unit just got completely crumped. So we'll do a little bit of fast forwarding, see if the Elves have any hope of making it. Currently, we have just over 2 minutes to get there. Nice Burning Head going down. And this is going to be some Fireborn. Oh man, the Fireborn could totally clutch this. So Dragon Prince is up on the point. But remember, Dryka is buffing the melee attack of all these units with her buff, which is the Fanatical Resolve. So everything nearby is getting 15% damage buff and 15 melee attack, which is crazy good. Dragon Princes, though, very good at melting these type of things. And now we have, man, 100 seconds. So we got like just over a minute here, man. It's going to be tight. Fireborn charging into Glade Riders. Obviously, they need to deal with them pretty quickly, and the Glade Riders get folded like a piece of paper. These things do fire damage, so really, really good at kind of clearing out many of these Wood Elf Tree Spirit type units, like the Dryads. I believe Dryka is weak to fire as well, being a tree. And there is going to be some Silver and Guard on the way in. Silver and Guard have huge capture weight, so they should be able to help out as the Dragon Princes are going to be called back. Middle objective being threatened as well, but it's going to take 10 years for that to go down here, and we do see some Dryads making their way back in. But will the Fireborn be able to mass break this? They're going to have to get some brutal damage. And now the capture weight does go to the High Elves, guys. And these are Silver and Guard. These are not a unit that are going to be folding quickly. Blade Riders get folded off here. More Dragon Princes on their way in. Do the Elves have any more mobility? The High Elves are going to need something. These Spearmen might just barely get there in time. The middle point looks like it's in a little bit of danger of flipping. But there are going to be some Elvish Cavalry coming in. And I think they just sit here. If you're the Reavers, I think you just sit on the side of the point and make them capture slowly and then pull those other Dragon Princes over. Silver and Guard are fighting and grinding. We do see the Glade Riders doing the best they can, as the Glade Riders of Spears do get a little bit of a surrounding charge going after the Mage of Fire. Mage of Fire, that sucks. You're going to lose 3 capture weight there and probably burning heads if they are in the back pocket, but it looks like the Mage maybe stabilizes, not quite. More Reavers make it to the point, and that is going to be very close, but ultimately I think the Hardwood is going to find a way to hold this one, which is super impressive, man. What a crazy, crazy scrap. So 15 seconds left. This objective is certainly close to flipping. The middle, obviously is on its way to flipping, but I think the High Elves will be able to find a way to get that. But at the end of the day, the Tree Cannon and Dryka's Fanatical Resolve. Dryka killing Alith Anar there, I think, was the straw that broke the camel's back. He's literally like 15 seconds away from winning this game. But that is going to be a Wood Elf victory. And big shout out to the Catholic here for sending in loss. A lot of people don't send in losses. So yeah, shout out to you. That was a really fun match. And obviously, he played at quite a deficit using these, relatively suboptimal units. But still, they didn't do badly. The second summon was not the most efficient, but even still, they weren't useless, which was cool to see. I really like the Chariot play. Heavy Cavalry are amazing. 1800, 1500, Dragon Princes typically do well there. I really like the Sister of Avalorn niche pick to deal fire damage against the Tree Spirit units. That felt like it was nice. And well played to Toxic Fireball. It looked like he was going to get swept, but through some determined micro and some ferocious Dryka play, he was able to get the W. GG, well played. We'll see you guys next time. Take care of yourselves. And that's going to be it for tonight.